Hey everyone, it's Paul with your Bold Profits Daily for Tuesday. And this week I want to give you an update on my STIXX trade. So STIXX, if you remember, I'm taking out this says hitting stick on it, but nonetheless, this is my symbol that I've used for my STIXX trade, which is a way of getting into America 2.0. And I have been trying to convince people, persuade people about this idea that this is a moment of incredible renewal, amazing moment of opportunity, growth, if you are focused on the right things. And to me, when I look at our economy, when I look at our markets, I look at the companies that are remaking America into America 2.0 from America 1.0. There's a group of companies that really represent the heart, the soul of this idea, of this movement, of this revolution, capturing all the aspects of what we do at Bold Profits and what we laser focus on across our publications. And we've got a number of them. And I'll invite you somewhere in the middle of this to consider Profits Unlimited, which is my flagship publication. It goes for between about $50 and $100, depending on what kind of offer you accept. And in this publication, we focus on companies that really completely are laser focused on the America 2.0 opportunity that's in front of them. However, for a lot of a YouTube audience that has no idea who I am, who Bold Profits is, what the track record of our services are, and what we do, I came up with this acronym called STIXX. And of course, the idea behind any acronym is that you can remember it. And, as many of you might know, Jim Cramer very famously came up with FANG, which was the original Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, and Google. And if you just followed that, it's been an incredible trade. And we have our own version of FANG, which is called Stuff. And I'll do another update on Stuff in another Bold Profits. But today I want to focus on STIXX. So STIXX, if you remember, is 5 ETFs. Now, for people who don't know what an ETF is, it's essentially a stock that is made up of many other stocks. And it's usually at least 30, some cases 50, in some cases might be 100. And the idea is to capture a theme, to capture an industry, to capture a sector, and to own a wide number of them so you really get the benefit of the entire group, the entire industry or sector or theme. Now, that's a perfectly good way to get into things. The thing is that in any ETF, which is a built-up basket of stocks, there's also going to be laggard stocks. There's going to be old stocks, America 1.0 stocks. So it's an imperfect way. Nonetheless, as a way of introducing you to me, to Bold Profits, to America 2.0, you can still get an incredible benefit by owning ETFs that give you wide exposure to the America 2.0 idea. And so I came up with STIXX. I'm just looking this up here. I came up with STIXX and first put it out there as a thing on March 2nd, 2020. So really, before the crash happened, before the whole, all of that volatility happened associated with the crisis. And the 5 ETFs are the Semiconductors ETF, which to me, I call digital steel. Because if you go back to the Industrial Revolution, steel was in everything, whether it was steam engines, pretty much every aspect of the Industrial Revolution required steel. And that's true as well today when you look at the Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, self-driving cars, blockchain, precision medicine, even optimizing new energy and space. All of these things use up an extraordinary, incredible number of computer chips. They're really the heart, soul, body, skin, whatever you can call it, digital steel, as I like to call it. And SMH, which is the ticker symbol for the Semiconductors ETF, that really gives you wide access to these companies. Now, it does have companies like Intel, which I am negative on. however, you can see even since March 2nd, I'm just looking at the performance since I first made a video talking about STIXX and making it a thing that I was officially tracking, officially telling you about. SMH has gone up 21%, and you compare that to the S&P 500, that's been up only 4%. The second ETF that I've been put into STIXX is a TAN. This is the Invesco Solar ETF, which is another massive transition that is going on, which is we are moving from various forms of carbon-based energy that are not renewable, that we cannot really directly renew, to things like solar power, wind power, and then there's associated technologies that are revolutionizing this form of power, batteries in particular, that we're incredibly positive on. And to get wide exposure to this, I would tell you that TAN, which is the solar ETF, is a good way to do it. Now, once again, as with SMH, there are companies in there that represent America 1.0 that are poorer than the types of companies we select for our services at Bold Profits. Nonetheless, great exposure. And if you see since March 2nd, this ETF is up 24% versus 4% for the S&P 500. The third ETF that's in STIXX is ITB, which is a housing ETF. And that's because we are in a moment of huge demographic growth with respect to housing. We've got the millennial generation that is coming of age, rising to their highest levels of income coming soon. We've got Gen Z following very close after them. So we have not been making enough houses for in excess of like 8-10 years as a result of the housing crisis, the financial crisis in 2008. And so we've got very little supply, very little inventory. We have massive amounts of demand. And so housing is an area, a part of our economy that I believe is going to boom and going to continue to boom for some period of time. So, and ITB will give you wide access to a number of companies, including home builders, including retailers. Now, it does not include some of the newer America 2.0 companies that benefit from this. Nonetheless, you would get wide exposure to a lot of different companies. And so this is one good way that you can benefit from it. What else can I tell you about ITB? ITB is up 12% since March 2nd compared to 4%. So still beating the S&P 500. Now, the fourth ETF that is in STIXX is XBI. This is a biotech index. It's an equal weighted index, which is slightly different than some of the others that are based on the company's size. So the difference is that if a company's size is used as the way to weight the stocks in an ETF, that means you're going to own more of the bigger companies. Now, an equal weighted means that even the small companies have an equal amount, which means that if a small company goes up a lot, this ETF can jump. So XBI is a biotech index, and it drives at the precision medicine revolution that is going on, that is based around genetics, also based around data, and combining these two things. And this is going to completely upend and radically change the way we practice healthcare in this country and around the world. And this ETF gives you wide access to a few aspects of it. Biotech companies that have drugs and some number of diagnostic companies as well, which are completely upending the current system as it is. And you can see XBI is up 23% since we put it into the portfolio. Now, the last one is thus far underperforming, and that's the Industrials ETF. And the Industrials ETF, I believe, is going to benefit from a number of things. Number one, as we go back to restock the world for all the things that we have been consuming while we have all been in lockdowns, shutdowns, all of these kinds of things, we are going to have to make all these things. And in this country, we are going to make them increasingly in this country, and that is going to facilitate the adoption of so many new technologies that we talk about, like 3D printing. And the industrial economy is the one that is going to get the biggest benefit from it. And this is why the last element of STIXX is XLI, it's the Industrials ETF. And it's got a lot of companies that may seem kind of America 1.0. However, the industrial economy is one where the companies of the of the previous generation are simply adopting new techniques, whether they be 3D printing, blockchain, artificial intelligence, and implementing it. There are not necessarily a whole new set of new companies that are going to be created. However, these old companies, I believe, are going to benefit from all these technologies. And so to benefit from all of that, if you buy XLI as we start to make things again, I believe this sector is going to boom. Then there's the additional aspect of bringing back manufacturing from China and Mexico and making things in the United States. And as I mentioned, inventory restocking. We just have to make things as people buy houses, as we spend more money for all the other things that I mentioned, whether it be to put up new biotech plants or even to make additional batteries or anything else. That's all got to be created by the industrial economy. So that's STIXX, STIXX, 5 phenomenal, incredible ETFs that really get you into the heart of America 2.0. And overall, as a portfolio since March 2nd, we've been tracking it. If you bought an equal weighted amount, and I'm just going to put the performance up right here, put $1,000. This is just an example. You could have put $100 into it. You could have put $10 into it. Obviously, the benefit depends, as you know, on how much you put into it. If you put $1,000 into it, that initial $5,000 is now worth $5,745, which is a 15% increase. However, I believe that the best of the performance of the companies that really represent the best of these companies that really are pushing this ETF higher, those are the ones in our service. And if you're interested in looking at what a portfolio that's laser focused with the elite, the best companies that are in these ETFs, you want to check them out, well, you can check out any of our services, but I want to point you to Profits Unlimited, which is my flagship service. So click on the strong hands above, and that's going to take you to a presentation on America 2.0, where I lay out the opportunity in full, and then you'll be invited to subscribe. So that's my update for this week. It's on STIXX. This portfolio, which we've been talking about since March, and in truth, some of these things actually I've been talking about for much longer than that. However, since we created the acronym STIXX, that's March 2nd, tracking it since then, this portfolio is completely blowing away the market. And if you'd like stocks like that, well, check into our services and also consider STIXX and put a portfolio like that together that really gets you the heart of America 2.0. Also want you to invite you to subscribe to this channel, give this video a thumbs up, and comment below if you have been invested in STIXX and if you've gotten the benefit of any of the performance of these ETFs. And I will have another Bold Profits for you next week. Until then, this is Paul saying bye.